With all the conversation about Black Lives Matter and the black athletes who have made a massive contribution towards the Canadian and maritime sports aesthetic, I was checking the other day about podcasts on certain players, black athletes, and I didn't see a podcast in the sky. So I'm hoping this is the first one because I think it's long overdue. Today we're going to be talking about the legend of Billy Riley. Now, Bill Riley, born September 20th, 1950, a very, very well-respected hockey player on numerous levels, minor hockey, minor pro, NHL, senior, became, ironically, the third black player in NHL history. So let's go a little bit of the background, a little bit of his upbringing. Now, born in Amherst, Nova Scotia, Riley's early life was one of, not say heavy poverty, but it was a rough time. Now, according to published reports, Riley's mother worked as a cleaning lady, while his father pulled in the minimum wage at the time of $1.25 per hour. Now, in spite of this low income, the family made great sacrifices for Billy because he saw a talent in him. They made the necessary efforts to build their son, to outfit their son with the necessary skates and pads to play hockey starting in Pee Wee. Now, Riley stuck with the game in spite of the absence of many black role models in the sport. Because you have to understand, in Nova Scotia at the time, you were seeing some boxers like the Johnson family, some wrestlers, some baseball players, but hockey, very rarely we see a black player stay with a squad because of the abject racism, not only in Nova Scotia but other parts of the Maritimes, taunting and stuff like that. Now, after 2 seasons with the junior Amherst Ramblers, which actually a team I have covered, and a team he would later go on to coach a few years later, he had no aspirations of pursuing hockey as a big league career, allegedly, according to published reports. Now, in 1973, while working in a factory and playing senior hockey with the Kennebec Eagles senior team in the Pacific Northwest Hockey League in British Columbia, very similar to the North Shore Hockey League of renown in New Brunswick, Riley was discovered after putting up 206 points in 80 games over 2 seasons. It's going to stand out at almost 3 point a game pace. Now, future NHL coach Tommy McVie was left in the process of fortifying his lineup for the Dayton Gems of the International Hockey League, and he discovered Riley in Kitimat and invited him for a tryout. Riley accepted and made the club in 1974. Now, 74-75 with the Dayton Gems, he had 12 goals and 16 assists for 28 points. And because Dayton was affiliated with the Washington Capitals, he was eventually called up to play 1 game with the Capitals. But that made him, again, the third black player on the squad. Mike Marson, another talented black player, was on the team. So technically, on the big team list, you had 2 black players, which was not say unheard of, but it was kind of off the beaten track because the big breakthrough for black players in the NHL followed later on with Tony McKechnie and Grant Fuhr and other talented skaters of their like. Now, the time with Washington reunited him with his future Capitals coach McVie, and he would eventually be signed as a free agent with the Capitals during the 76-77 NHL season and played for the Capitals in parts of 3 seasons. Now, in his rookie year in 1977, most of it was played with the Gems, but he had 34 points in 30 games, including 19 goals. With Washington, put up some good totals: 13 goals, 14 assists for 27 points. 78, he had 57 games, including 13 goals, 12 assists, and 25 points. And his plus-minus those 2 years were pretty good because Washington didn't have the best defensive team in the world. Now, in 1979, he only had 4 points in 24 games. Eventually found himself with Hershey, and did get in a number of contests with Winnipeg, who had drafted him in a 79 expansion draft, and he only played in 14 games in the minors. Now, he was a New Brunswick minor pro hockey star for several seasons after that, actually 5 in total, and became legendary amongst the fans and followers of the squads. Now, in 1980, he played with the Voyageurs, Nova Scotia, 64 points, including 31 goals. And with the newly formed New Brunswick Hawks, he had 37 points in 81 and 62 in 82. When the Hawks folded, he continued with the New Brunswick squads, the New Brunswick squad in Moncton, this time with the Alpines, with 33 goals and 63 points in 73 games. And 78, his unofficial last minor pro season, because he played senior hockey later on. He had 24 goals and 24 assists in 48 games, and 48 points in 78 games for, again, the Nova Scotia Voyageurs. Now, Riley later on became the player, coach, and captain of the St. John's Capitals of the Newfoundland Senior Hockey League for 3 seasons during the late 1980s. Now, after retiring from professional play, he turned to coaching in 1990, where he landed the bench boss position with the Ramblers of what was then the Nova Scotia Junior Hockey League. Amherst's squad has since, or the Incarnations, have joined the Maritime Junior Hockey League, or it's called the MHL now. Now, later became the head coach, GM, and director of player personnel of another team I've covered through the years, the Miramichi Timberwolves of the Maritime Junior A Hockey League. And he's also served as the head coach of the Moncton Wildcats during the inaugural, during the 1996-97 season, and that major junior squad that year finished with a 16-52-2 record. Now, he has quite a bit of awards and honors. As a player, he won a Calder Cup in '82 with the Hawks. As a coach, he won the Callahan Cup, forerunner to the Kent Cup in 1990, which the Kent Cup is still given out for Maritime Junior A playoff supremacy in the Maritimes, and advanced to the Centennial Cup, which is a national championship now known as the Royal Bank Cup. Now, in 1998, his call to the Nova Scotia Sports Hall of Fame became, and well deserved. And in 2013, the Ramblers officially retired his number 8 jersey during a pre-game ceremony. So Bill Riley was an outstanding player, role model. A lot of people basically felt he made those New Brunswick franchises much more stronger than he could have been. I think he would have played in the modern NHL because of the expansion, but he was more than at home playing in the Maritime region. In New Brunswick, people would also talk about the different players he played with those New Brunswick franchises and how he motivated those young players. Because those 4 seasons between the Voyageurs, Hawks, and Alpines had some of the top prospects of the Montreal Canadiens, the Blackhawks, Chicago, Edmonton. It was quite an interesting path in hockey. So Bill Riley, he's much more than just a black hockey player. He's just more than a Nova Scotia, super athlete, which I mean super athletes he's excelled. He is probably one of the most important links in maritime hockey to the 1960 territorial version, where players were recruited for junior teams in Niagara like Clem Tremblay or Jerry Red Willette. He's the link. He's also the link to senior hockey. He's a link to junior A hockey, to major junior hockey. So when you talk about hockey in the Maritimes, he did it all. He played it, coached it, saw it, motivated it, but still, when that 1975 contest, when he played that game with the Capitals, it was not say front page news. It was heavy sports news on all the media in the Maritimes. I remember that. CHSJ said, Nova Scotia's own, Billy Riley has made it to the NHL. And the Dayton Gems, those 3 seasons he played were some good, there were some really good players. If you look at the rosters, I mean, he played some really, great players. But I would suspect, ladies and gentlemen, that Billy Riley will might make other Halls of Fame. It depends. Now, I don't know if this has already been done But I think the Maritime Hockey League either was working on a Hall of Fame or looking at what they call the inductors, or people should be inducted as a builder. Definitely, Bill Riley should be there as a builder. So if the Maritime Hockey League ever has an official Hall of Fame or is promoted more, I would suggest he gets in. Like I said, tremendous hockey player, tremendous time for hockey in New Brunswick, where Billy Riley and all those New Brunswick and Nova Scotia teams were skating together. And he, like I said, he may have been a free agent or may have been unaffiliated, but he did it all. Have a good afternoon. Bye.